Listen, y'all, I know that I present as very sophisticated and cosmopolitan, but the truth is I'm from one of the most rural parts of the state of Tennessee. Go Vols. It's true. My mama used to smoke full-flavored Winstons with the windows closed while she cussed at the police scanner. I was a grown man before I encountered a set of glass Tupperware. It's all real, and growing up a poor poop boy in Mud Town, I got the distinct impression that the Republican Party kind of had it out for me. You know, food stamps are bad. Entitlement programs make people lazy, they said. But food stamps kept me and my sister fed, and I didn't see nothing lazy about struggling just to get by every day, right? So at a pretty early age, I arrived at my official stance on the Republican Party, which was, put simply, all right, well, fuck them then. And it's pretty much been my position on them ever since, right? Yet today, many of my fellow holler Americans call me a blood traitor for this. They say, hell, a man be better off running ass first through a field of wiener weeds than voting for a Democrat. That's what they say. All right, well, here's what I have to say to my fellow hayseeds. Listen, I'm not going to tell y'all that the Democrats care about you. A handful of them might, but most of them, the old guard leadership especially, they don't, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you to come on over to the rainbow side. I know that's not going to happen. I know your whole life you've been told by everybody from your preacher to your football coach to your papaw's radio that the Democrats just want to carpet bomb God's country with commie fairy dust until every last red-blooded American is turned into a genderqueer pedophile with bunny ears. I mean, now, while I would suggest that that cannot possibly be true on account of that implies that Democrats, have a plan, still, I know that's what you think, so I'm not going to tell you to support them, all right? All I'm asking is that you see the Republicans for what they really are. And I know all those same sources that told you your whole life about the evils of the left. They also champion the patriotic heroism of the right. That's all you've ever heard. It drowns out everything else, but I'm just asking, cover your ears and open your eyes. Look around you. They're screwing you over again like they always do right now. They're doing it right now. They're trying to pass a bill that would make the rich richer, aka the Republican Prime Directive. And to do that, this bill would strip millions of Americans of health care, the disproportionate number of which are in rural areas. So if your small town is lucky enough to still have a hospital, I recommend you get your blood work done soon because it ain't going to be there much longer. All right. And this bill will gut food stamps. And when it does, the rural grocery stores that can barely scrape by, they're going to close too. And when they do close and your Republican congressman is told there's nowhere left for you to buy bread, his response will be, well, let them eat Dollar General honey buns then. These people have been running the show in rural America for as long as any of us can remember. And what has it ever gotten you, really? Have they ever one time tangibly improved your lives? Or have they spent those years pissing in your face and mocking you for wanting rain? All right, so yeah, sure, the Democrats don't care about you, but the Republicans hate you viscerally, and they prove that with every stroke of their pen. All right, so I'm just asking, how much longer are you going to put up with this shit? All right, YouTube, listen, as with all things with this, it's curious how the different sides of the media cover these different perspectives and the impact that can have on the people who consume that media. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, we're here on Ground News's website looking at a story covering some of the fallout from this big, beautiful bill. I bring this up a little bit later in the video as well. Republican Senator Joni Ernst defends the proposed Medicaid cuts by saying, we are all going to die. That's succinct. You look at the coverage details on Ground News, you see 143 sources, many more on the left than the right. I would argue that that in and of itself is telling. Seems the right would rather ignore this story, if you ask me. But if we look on Ground News and we sort by the bias of the outlet and we look only on the left, you can tell they're pretty open about how they feel about it. Vanity Fair says, Joni Ernst not sure how else to explain. She doesn't give a fuck about your Medicaid. Yeah, let it all hang out, Vanity Fair. Well, we're all gonna die. Joni Ernst spars with town hall crowd over Medicaid. Senate Republicans try out "We all die" slogan to justify Medicaid cuts. Getting a little snarky on the left. And on the right, like I said, most of them just ignoring it in their absence, but the ones that are here still trying to defend it. Russell Vought dismisses the ridiculous critics at her town hall. Senator Ernst apologizes for "we are all going to die" comment, as I'll say a little bit later. That's not an accurate representation of what she did. Saying it apologizes gives her way too much credit. That's what they're doing on the right. You can see you get all this extra context on Ground News because before you ever click an article, you can see the ownership group, the factuality rating, and the bias of the outlet. Just more context than you're going to get anywhere else. That's why I've been working with them for more than a year now. So you can scan that QR code there or follow along at ground.news. /Trey. They do a lot of other great things too. Some great features on Ground News. It's one of my favorites, the blind spot feature. This is where you see stories that are not being covered on either side of the political spectrum right now. So things that either the right or the left are just choosing not to talk about. And this allows you to step outside of your own bubble for a minute and see what's going on down at the other end of the street. Something that I think is beneficial for us all, especially in these here times. So if that sounds good to you, you can scan that QR code or click the link in the description below. You can try Ground News today. You can get 40% off their highest tier Advantage plan. That's $5 a month, or you can check it out for free. Either way, the time is now pushed back on the bias and BS. Try Ground News today. All right, YouTube, and we're back. You know that last part about pissing in your face and mocking you for wanting rain? That was inspired directly by a real incident from over this past weekend. Noted Republican senator and also massive bitch Joni Ernst of Iowa was at a town hall meeting there when they were talking about this stripping of Medicaid and people losing health care, and someone hollered out, "People will die. You know that, right?" And she goes very astutely. She goes, "Well, I mean, we're all gonna die." Right? And weirdly, in her mind, she didn't understand that it was upsetting to people. She couldn't fathom why. So the next day she had no choice but to offer up an apology video, except it was completely sarcastic and made simply to mock the faces of the people who she was so deliberately cruel to the day before, telling her constituents essentially to fuck off by strolling through a graveyard while giving a very, very tongue-in-cheek apology in which she said, "I didn't realize that people didn't understand that we all will die one day. Excuse me for telling the truth about that. I'm sure next you'll ask about the tooth fairy. By the way, give your soul over to Jesus." It's like, yes, if anything, if there's one teaching of Jesus we all recall, it was fuck all the people poorer than you. That was one of Jesus's primary messages, as I recall it. But also, just like the willful fucking misunderstanding here on her part of what made people mad about that. She knows that people know they're going to die. It's not that they don't know they're going to die. They just would rather put that off for a minute. And not having health insurance makes that a little bit harder to do. So it's not about just dying. It's about dying in September instead of 2062 because of your heartless fake Christian ass, Joni. That's what they meant, and I think you know that. But there's one thing I have to acknowledge about this particular video. I'm trying to speak to my fellow rural people, talking about how Republicans hate them, and I mean that with every part of me. I believe that they do hate them. But one thing I'm not acknowledging here is that I think a fair number of them, their response might be, yeah, okay, but I mean, they also, hate all the right people too. Like they also hate like Muslims and trans people and stuff like that. And I mean, that counts for something. It's, endlessly discouraging to me how that arithmetic seems to work out amongst my fellow holler dwellers, meaning the Republicans can basically look at them and be like, all right, here's our deal. This is what we're offering you, okay? We get to close down your school, grocery store, and hospital, and in every tangible way make your lives considerably worse for the foreseeable future. That's what we get. And we get to use all that saved tax money to line the pockets and buy the boats of our Wall Street buddies, okay? That's our end of the bargain. But listen, you're gonna love this. Here's what you get. Here's what we're offering you in return. You get to watch a little Mexican kids cry as we put them in a cage and ship them to a death camp overseas. That's pretty sweet, right? Some of them will even have cancer. And a lot of our mammals are like, that does sound pretty sweet. I think I'd like that. Let's go ahead with that. And it breaks my heart each and every day. And I'm sure a lot of them would say I'm being disingenuous right now, but I just don't know how many other conclusions you could draw based on the actions and positions that have been taken over the, preceding years and months in this country. So anyway, whatever the case may be, however it's going to end up going, people ever see the light or not, I don't know what I believe, but what I am sure of is that I'm glad you guys are here. I appreciate you watching. I'm going to put these little things up here. This is my stand-up special, the newest one, Trash Daddy. Please watch it, all right? And then also subscribe to the channel. You can see all these videos, and when I do other things now and then, my podcast and cooking videos and stuff, they're on here too, stand-up clips. And then finally, most important one, TreyCrowder.com. You can see my tour dates. I'm a stand-up comedian. It's all different material than the special, so none of that's the same. If I'm coming near you, come see me. You'll like it. If you like this, you'll like it. I firmly believe. Either way, if you keep watching these, I'll keep making them. I love you like chicken. Hang in there. See you. Bye.